Today I'll be going over targets 10 and 11 homework. Make sure that you have a graphing calculator available to do this. On number 1 and 2, we are multiplying two matrices together. So the first thing I need to do is I need to plug the matrix from number 1 into the graphing calculator. Remember to do this, we hit second matrix and I scroll over to edit. Hit enter. When I look at my first matrix, it has 2 rows and 4 columns, so I'm going to make this into a 2 by 4 matrix, and I'm going to plug my values in. So -5, -6, 2, and 3. My second row, we have 3, -2, 3, -3. We have to quit out there, so we'll hit second mode, and then we'll do second matrix again, scroll over to edit, and we're going to edit matrix B this time. Matrix B has 4 rows and 2 columns, so it's a 4 by 2. And again, plug your values in. -4, 1, -1, 5, 6, -6, 1, and 4. Looks like I typed that in as 11, so I'll edit that, and then we quit out. When we multiply our two matrices, we go back into our second matrix. We don't need to go to edit. We'll hit enter on matrix A. We want to multiply that matrix B, so go back in, scroll down to B and hit enter. Our calculator will multiply them together for us. So our answer here is a 2 by 2 matrix of 41, -35, 5, and -37. We will do that same process for number 2. We just need to plug in our 2 new matrices. So our first matrix, again, second matrix. We want to edit the matrix. Here we have 2 rows and 3 columns, so hit enter on A, and it's a 2 by 3. 1, 3, -6, -1, 2, and -4. Quit out of that. And then second matrix, edit again to put in our second matrix. We'll go down to B. B has 3 rows and 2 columns, so it's a 3 by 2. 6, 3, -3, 6, 6, and 6 again. Quit out of there, so second mode to quit. Second matrix, we want to do A times B, so enter on A. Second matrix, scroll down to B, enter on B. And my answer is a 2 by 2 matrix again with -39, -15, -36, and -15. So that takes care of target 10, multiplying our 2 matrices together. On target 11, we are looking for the solution using our 2 lines. So we are going to graph these 2 equations in our graphing calculator and look for their intersection. Remember, when we graph, we can only graph in slope-intercept form. So 1 and 2 are already done for us in slope-intercept form. 3 and 4 we will have to change over. To graph 2 lines, we hit y equals in the top left of the graphing calculator. If you have any equations in there, clear them out. I'll put our first equation in, so -9x. Remember, x is up the top left part of your graphing calculator on the x, t, theta, and n button, and then +5. Scroll down or hit enter. We also have x -5. We'll hit graph in the top right of our graphing calculator. It will graph our 2 lines for us. We want to see where these 2 lines intersect because that is our solution. So we'll hit second trace, and we want to go to number 5 either by scrolling down or typing in number 5. We're going to hit enter here now 3 times, and it will tell us our intersection is at 1, -4. Let's get number 2. So number 2 is in slope-intercept for us again, so we'll go to our y equals, that top left button, clear out those 2 equations using our clear button. 7/3, we're going to do 7 divided by 3. Use your X button, +1. 2/3, so 2 divided by 3, our x button plus 6. Hit graph, and again we'll use our second trace for that calculate function in number 5. First curve hit enter, second curve hit enter, guess hit enter, so we should hit enter 3 times until it says intersection on the bottom left hand of your calculator. It says our intersection is at 3/8, so that will be our solution. For number 3 and number 4, we need to put those equations into slope-intercept form first. So let's get all those equations into slope-intercept form. If I look at my first equation at 3, I'm going to have to start by subtracting x over, trying to get y by itself. So subtract x, I have 8y equals negative x minus 40. Divide everything here by 8. And we have y equals negative 1/8 x minus 5. For our second equation in number 3, I'm going to subtract x over. So negative y equals negative x minus 4. And we need to divide everything by a -1 to give us a positive y. So y equals x plus 4. Now that we have our two equations in slope-intercept form, we can go back to our graphing calculator and plug those in. So we'll hit our y equals button again, clear out those two equations that I still have in there, and type in our 2. It doesn't matter the order you do them. We can do x plus 4 first, or you could do x plus 4 second. It will still graph our same two lines. We have negative 1/8. Make sure you use the negative button on that, not the subtraction button, and then minus 5. Graph those two. Second trace to get to our intersect function, number 5, and we hit enter 3 times until we see intersection on the bottom. So our intersection here is at -8, -4. Number 4, we need to again put this into slope-intercept form. If I look at that first equation, the first thing I'm going to do here is subtract 3x over. So negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 12. Divide everything by -2. And y equals a positive 3/2 because we have a negative divided by a negative, x minus 6. For our second equation, all we need to do is subtract x over. So y equals negative x plus 9. Plug these two into our graphing calculator using that y equals button. Clear out our two old equations. So we have y equals 3/2 x, so 3 divided by 2, our x button in the top left, minus 6. And our second equation is negative x. Make sure you use the negative button, not minus, plus 9. Graph, second trace to get our calc, and number 5, intersect. Hit enter 3 times until it says our intersection. So our intersection here is at 6, 3. If you look at the back side of your homework, the back side is review, so we do not need the graphing calculator anymore. For number 1 and number 2, we just need to simplify our matrices. When we do this, we will follow the order of operations. So on number 1, I'm going to start in the parentheses adding those two matrices. So I have 1, -6, -3, and we're going to subtract whatever we get when we add those two matrices together. Remember, when we add matrices, we add the numbers that are in the same position. So -4 plus 4 is 0. -3 plus a -3 is a -6. And -1 plus a -4 is -5. Now we're going to go ahead and subtract those matrices to get our final answer. When we get our final answer at 2, we'll have 3 rows in 1 column. Again, we want to look at the numbers that are in the same position. So 1 minus 0 is 1. -6 minus a -6, so 2 negatives would make that a positive. -6 plus 6 is 0. And then we have -3 minus a -5. So if you think about that, -3 minus a -5 gives me -3 plus 5, or a positive 2. On number 2, it is undefined. We are not able to subtract these two matrices because they are not the exact same size. Remember, they have to look exactly alike in order to combine two matrices. 3 and 4, we're looking for solving for variables. So on 3, it says 4 times some matrix has to give me the matrix on the right-hand side. So 4 times what is going to give me my matrix Y? So I'm going to solve that by dividing every number on the right-hand side by 4. -24 divided by 4 is -6. -8 divided by 4 is -2. 36 divided by 4 is 9, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. On number 4, we're looking at what matrix plus that matrix will give me the matrix on the left-hand side. There's a couple ways to do this. One, you can just think through it mentally. -8 plus what gives me -8? Well, that would have to be 0. You can also set up an equation. So you could have -8 equals y minus 8, or plus a -8. Adding 8 over, I get y equals 0. So if you want to say that again, let's do it with the second term. So -3 equals y plus a -10. Add 10 to both sides, and y equals 7. For our third spot, we have 3 equals y plus 10. Subtract 10, and y equals -7. For the fourth spot, I have 3 equals y plus 9. Subtract 9, and y equals -6. So that is our matrix Y. 0, 7, -7, -6. On A, you can do the same thing, again, writing out those 4 equations, or let's look at this if we just use mental math. So I'm looking at what number plus 7 equals 17. I know 10 plus 7 equals 17. So then what number plus 0 equals -2? -2 plus 0 equals -2. What number plus 7 equals -1? -8 plus 7 equals -1. And then what number minus 10 equals -13? -3 minus 10 equals -13. Again, if you can't do that mentally in your head, that's okay. Just make sure you set up the 4 equations. 6 is similar to number 3. We're looking at -4 times what equals z. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide every number over here by -4. So I know my z matrix is equal to 6, -8, 1, -6. Target 9, we're multiplying matrices by hand. On 7, we have 2 matrices. On 8, we have scalar multiplication. First thing we want to make sure is that we can multiply them. So on 7, I have 3 rows and 2 columns by 2 rows and 2 columns. Remember, the middle 2 numbers have to match in order to know that we can multiply it together. And our outside 2 numbers are going to tell us what the answer is. So my answer has to be a 3 by 2 matrix. So I know it's going to have 3 rows and it's going to have 2 columns. I like to split that up to give myself the work area in order to figure this out. Remember, when we multiply matrices, we always go across the first and down the second. So I'm going to go across my first row and down my first column. That's going to give me my answer for my first row and first column number. So 1 times negative 4 plus negative 3 times negative 2. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 2 is 6. So my number will be 2. So the second number I'm looking for here, I'm still in row 1, so I'm still going to use my values in row 1, but now I'm in column 2, so I'm going to use negative 5 and negative 6. So I'll do 1 times negative 5 plus negative 3 times negative 6. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Negative 3 times negative 6 is 18. So I have negative 5 plus 18, which is 13. I'm done with my first row now, so I'm not going to use my first row in my first matrix anymore. I'm going to drop down to my second row. So now I'm going to look at my second row going across it and going down my first column since I'm back in my first column. So negative 6 times negative 4 plus negative 2 times negative 2. Negative 6 times negative 4 is 24. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 24 plus 4 is 28. My next number is now still in my second row, so I still use negative 6 and negative 2. But now I'm in my second column, so I'll use negative 5 and negative 6. So I'm going to do negative 6 times negative 5 plus negative 2 times negative 6. Negative 6 times negative 5 is 30. Negative 2 times negative 6 is 12. 30 plus 12 is 42. I'm done with my second row, so I'm done with negative 6 and negative 2. So now I'm going to go to my last row, and I'm going to use negative 2 and negative 5. I'm in my first column, so I'll use negative 4 and negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 4 plus negative 5 times negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. Negative 5 times negative 2 is 10. So I have 18. My last value then, I'm going to be in my third row still. So I'm still using negative 2, negative 5. But now I'm over in column 2, so I use negative 5 and negative 6. So I'll do negative 2 times negative 5 plus negative 5 times negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 5 is 10. Negative 5 times negative 6 is 30. 10 plus 30 is 40. So my final answer is going to be 2, 13, 28, 42, 18, and 40. Number 8 is scalar multiplication. We're not multiplying a matrix by a matrix. We just have that number in front. This is when we're just going to distribute that number to everything inside. So negative 4 times negative 2 is 8. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. And negative 4 times 0 is 0. Please come in if you have any questions.